Hi everyone and welcome to learn about indirect speech. Indirect speech is quoting someone in one's own words. In other words, retelling what was said. If we have a direct speech, as in I'm all out of money, and we change that into indirect speech, we need to do a few changes. First of all, we start with a reporting clause, telling who said it to begin with. And what follows is the indirect speech, and that works as a subordinate clause, a reported clause. So this turns to John said he was all out of money. The changes we need to do are to change the tense. I am, he was. To change the pronouns I to he. And possibly place and time adverbials as well. Those are not present in this example, but in the other one in your material you see how they work there. We need to change the tense because of backshift. We quite normally have this reporting verb in the past tense, and because of sequence of tenses we need to use the same tense here in the reported clause as well. If we have direct speeches that are in the simple present, when we put them into indirect speech, we turn the tense to simple past. Present perfect changes to past perfect. Simple past either stays simple past or changes to past perfect, and past perfect remains past perfect. So we go back a bit, that's why it's called backshift. And the same applies to modals as well. Can, may, shall and will in the direct speech can turn to could, might, should and would in the indirect speech. If someone says, I will do it, and later on you say the same thing using indirect speech, he said he would do it. You're very likely to use the would there. Okay, let's have a few example sentences then. All of these are direct speeches. The volume is too high. When we turn that into indirect speech, we need to have the same tense in the reported clause that we use in the reporting clause. He said that the volume was too high. I had done the dishes. Turns to she said she had done the dishes. You came too late. Either stays he said we came too late, or then you use the past perfect. He said we had come too late. And finally, we had done our best. It stays the same. She said that they had done their best. So we use the same tense in the reporting clause and the reported clause. Okay, now there are a few cases where you don't need to use the backshift, although bear in mind that you are on more safer ground if you have the backshift there. But if the direct speech is still valid at the time of reporting, you can break the rule of sequence of tenses. As in, he said he loves me. If we can be 100% sure that he still loves this person, we can use the present tense here, although the reporting verb is in the past tense. Be careful, however, when using this. And not always do we have the reporting verb in the past tense. We can use the historic present. As in, the sheriff says he's taken the witnesses to the station. Here, says refers to something that took place in the past, as you probably remember from our lesson on the sequence of tenses. Therefore, we do not change the tense in the reported clause either. We use the same tense here. So, when we talk about the historic present, we have the present tense in the reported clause as well. When we talk about things that that are said very often, very frequently. He always says, we can't do that. Here again, the reporting verb is in the present tense, and so is the verb in the reported clause as well. And for words of an author, we use the present tense as well. Present says we acquire, not learn languages. Now let's have a more detailed look at how the persons changed in reported speech. Sam, I don't like your sister anymore, said Mark. This sentence, Sam, I don't like your sister anymore, that's a direct speech. When we turn that into indirect speech, we need to pay attention to who is telling this to whom. When Mark reports this to someone else, he says, I told him I don't like his sister anymore. And when Sam reports it to someone else, he says, he told me he doesn't like my sister anymore. At this point, the sister hears about it and tells someone else what she's heard. He told my brother he doesn't like me anymore. Okay, finally Mark goes to the sister and tells her, I told your brother I don't like you anymore. We need to change the persons depending on who's retelling it to whom. And this is an example where you can have the present tense in the reported clause. Because it's still true, Mark still doesn't like Sam's sister. For the changes in place and time of verbials, have a look at those examples in your material. And finally, indirect questions, which include a few more changes in addition to the already mentioned one. And the first one is changing the word order. In the direct question, what time is it? We have the predicate before the subject. When we put that into indirect question, we need to change it. He wanted to know what time it was. It's no longer a question, therefore we need to change the word order. And we do not end this with a question mark either, because this is not a question anymore. We need to omit the auxiliary do and add if or whether to yes or no questions. Do you play the piano? That's a direct question. Indirect question, I asked whether he plays the piano. Or, didn't you see me? Another direct question. Indirect question is, he wondered if I saw him. We do keep the auxiliary do in some cases, and they are when we have a VH question. VH refers to words such as why, where, when, even how. As in, why didn't he walk? That's a direct question, and the indirect question would be, she was inquiring why he didn't walk. Wonderful. Now, if you want to know more about indirect speech, and especially about indirect directives, have a look at your material. Thanks, see you next time.